You had an interview a while back where you talked about a domestic violence situation that happened.
Yes.
How long ago was this? Like, you know, like what, you know, how old were you when you actually got into this situation?
I was 17. I had just turned 17, so almost 4 years ago. I haven't talked or seen to the guy for about 3 years.
And what exactly happened?
You know, it wasn't just a physical thing. It was more so mentally, emotionally abuse. It was kind of everything. And, you know, I was so young and naive, and I feel like, you know, I just thought I knew what love was, and I thought I found it in that person. I actually seen a quote the other day. It says, if you don't love yourself, you're going to let somebody come into your life and teach you how to hate yourself, and you're going to confuse the both. So instead of, you know, when you always beat yourself up and you're insecure and you don't love yourself and you don't know yourself enough, and then you let somebody come in and show you what hate is, you think that's love, and you confuse the two. So I feel like that's what I did. I thought this person loved me who had no intentions of staying or no intentions of loving me, only to suck me dry, whatever the person I was or what was left of me. And it took me over a year to get out of the situation, but when I did, I had the support of my friends and my family, and I wanted to turn the situation into a positive. So what I did was I made a music video about domestic violence. I shared my story, and I put the domestic violence hotline at the end, and the calls increased by 50%. A lot of my fans hit me up about stories and how I helped them and how they called the hotline for their sister, for their brother, for anybody. And it was just an amazing feeling to know that just from what I went through, and you know, what I went through is not even equivalent to what people have gone through for like over decades, and you know, the people that are still in it. And I'm just glad that I got out alive, and I've had, you know, the support team that I do still today.
Being through something like that, how do you feel when you see like a Ray Rice situation?
You know, it's when people ask me about that, it's such a picky situation, because at the end of the day, you really don't know what goes on rather than what you see. So a lot of people would be like, how do you feel about the Ray Rice situation? I was like, honestly, at the end of the day in a relationship, it's never right for anybody to provoke anyone. It's not right for a girl to provoke her man. It's not right for a man to provoke his girl. I know a lot of people say that guys are stronger than girls, which is true, and it is true, and it's a proven fact, but nobody should ever provoke anyone. And there's different ways to handle situations. So I feel like, you know, you let anger get the best of you, and, you know, we're all human at the end of the day. We all make mistakes. Some people make more mistakes than others, but nobody's perfect. So it's a sad situation, but I feel like, you know, over time people learn. Some people don't learn, but I try not to stay too much into that kind of stuff, because I really don't, you know, I've been through what I've been through, but I really don't understand everybody else's situation when they ask me about it. So it's like it's kind of like a picky situation at that point.
Sure. Well, you know, I mean, there's a video, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it was on a subway, what looked like it was New York. You know, it was like these girls were kind of yelling at this guy, and they kind of kept hitting him. You know, they're like kind of hitting like this other guy, you know, like they were knocking the camera out of his hand. And she hit this guy, I think, for the third time, and he just lost it and just kind of smacked her, you know, and it turned into this big brawl. I mean, do you ever feel, you know, a lot of times you have situations where, you know, men put their hands on a woman, but it's after a woman has put their hands on them multiple times. I mean, do you feel in a situation like that that's justified, or do you feel that a man should never put his hands on a woman no matter how many times the woman might hit him?
I mean, honestly, I feel like a man should never put his hand on a woman, because there's, you know, at the end of the day, like I said, they are stronger. And just physically and just how life is, they are stronger. I feel like they should never be able to slap or to punch a girl. I feel like the number one thing to do would be able to, you know, grab a hold of her and calm her down. And I feel, but at the same thing, I feel like a girl should never provoke her man, because at the end of the day, we know that people have tempers, and if you keep hitting somebody and hitting somebody and hitting somebody, eventually they're gonna snap. And I feel like you should never want to provoke a guy to want to hit you. And it's a tough situation. I actually didn't see the video. I've heard a lot about it. And I never got to see it. I probably will actually go take a look at that. But I feel like there is different ways to calm down a girl, because, you know, being a girl, we do have tempers, and we are crazy. And I'm like a firecracker, not physically, but like Verbally, I know how to push some buttons, so I know how girls can be, but I feel like if a guy could just hold on to her and calm her down, I think it'll work out for the better. Because at the end of the day, if you really think about it, they are going to look more at what the guy does than what the girl does at the end of the day, is even though it is the same thing, a lot of people don't see things as equals.
Well, I mean, it seems these days with social media, a lot of this stuff that was happening since the beginning of time is now being broadcast to the world. So I think over time it's actually gonna, when people know that they might have this video or these images smeared all over the internet, I think people are gonna think twice before acting out in public.
Oh yeah, definitely. Nowadays, instead, people rather record a situation than lend out a helping hand, and it's sad. But we're all a victim of it. If we see something funny happening on the street, we're not going to stop and say, "Are you okay?" Most people will, but most people will want to record it so they can show their friends when they get home, or they could post it to Instagram or post it on Vine and get a couple hundred likes. Like, people do that nowadays, and it's sad because there's so many things going on, and we rather see it over the internet than actually do something about it in person.